Hello and welcome to the Business of Meetings podcast. I'm Eric Rosenberg, and today I am delighted to speak with Janet Sperstad. Janet is not only a very all-time friend, but she is somebody who has impacted our entire industry. She's she's a recovered meeting planner, as she said, and she's very much involved in academia at the Madison College, where she's teaching future colleagues of our industry. She's also very knowledgeable when it comes to neuroscience in our industry, and I'm sure you're going to learn a lot from my conversation with Janet. Today, I am delighted to speak with an icon in our industry. She has been rewarded by every single organization. She had roles, the leadership roles with IAEE, recognized with MPI, recognized by PCMA, and all of leaders of the Events Industry Council. She is the faculty director of the Madison College Event Management Associate degree. She is also did a master in the neuroscience, which we're going to talk about. I'm so glad to see you. Hello, Janet Sperstad. How are you?
Hello, my beloved friend. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought I was going to go through all the awards you received, but then I thought this podcast should last 45 minutes an hour max. Then I won't have time. How is it that I remember that it's like the last 2-3 years, every single month you're receiving, rightly so, an award, but why do you think it's now with all the things you've done for us in our industry?
Yeah. I think I'm in academia. So academia is not a sexy place. And where I work we're a technical college. So I don't push research out. Mm-hmm. But the awards and recognition I've received has been a culmination of my life's work. I've been in the industry over 30 years. I am a quiet influencer. I'm a steady influencer. I look at the long game. So I think there's just been a number of things that has risen the waters of the tsunami up for me, mm-hmm. that have been at the right time for the industry's appetite for information to figure out how do we re-engineer, what do we need, what do we do? And that's, I think, where some of the recognition has come, because part of it is, I think success is being ready when an opportunity hits. Mm-hmm. I've been in academia, I've been an event planner for a long time. I was getting really bored in my job. And as a recovering planner, when we get bored, we get lazy. And I started finding myself not doing the quality of work that I've always done. And I thought, whoa, what's going on? And so I work in academia. Every day I see people push themselves outside their comfort zones to learn something new. And so I said, Janet, it's time to go back to school. And so I went off and got my master's in another discipline that I knew had relevance to what we do in our industry that's beyond logistics, that's beyond strategic meetings management, that's really recalibrating. We're in the business of people. And so I really think that us as event professionals need to look at other disciplines of cognitive science, of physical science, psychology, all of these other disciplines, because we're in the business of people first. Absolutely. Not data, not financials. And so I was inspired to go off and do that. And it was when I came back to share it with our industry, it was a perfect timing of sort of blending and moving the industry, helping the industry move forward for what we need to do.
Brilliant. I would agree with you. The only thing I would say is that, yes, we are definitely in the industry with people and data and financial, especially for independent business owners. Without data, without financial, obviously there's no business. But to your point, it's really focused on individuals. So what did you learn when you did this master in neuroscience? And what did you learn for our industry specifically? And how are you looking now at the business of meetings from a different lens because of what you've learned in neuroscience?
Yeah. Two things really jumped out at me right away very quickly. One is we're all the same. Mm-hmm. Our brain is the same. Our cultures, our family settings, what we prefer, what we don't, changes our brain. But we all have the same brain and it reacts very similarly across countries, across the globe. And how that reacts is two things. We're driven first and foremost by threat. Our brain is to keep us safe. So right now, here we are in April, we're talking about it's COVID time. Uncertainty is driving our behavior more than anything. We will do things outside the norm that make us safe. Our brain wants to do the very thing it cannot predict. And so anything that allows us, and that's where data is very helpful, why we love data, it predicts. It helps us minimize risk and maximize reward. And that's the two things that drive our brain: minimize risk, maximize reward. So anything that allows people to really be able to help create certainty and to really create the most benefit will bring people's decisions quicker and help drive them faster to where you want them to be. So in a very microscopic example, as a teacher, I no longer start students at 0 and have them go up to 100.
Okay.
I give them 100.
Usually I go the other way around, but
I do. I give them 100 and I take points away as they start to decline.
Oh, wow.
I have students perform higher because the threat of loss drives behavior more than the opportunity to reward.
That's amazing.
One of my professors said something brilliant in a day that I wrote down, and it was profound for me. And it's always, and this was 10 years ago, it's influenced how I think and what I do. And Dr. Evian Gordon he said, we run from risk and walk towards reward. We
run from risk
and walk towards reward.
Okay.
So if we see something dangerous, we immediately react, such as airlines, 10%, it's like 2 seats left. Oh my gosh, I better book that. Like the sense of loss will grab our attention and make us react quicker than saying, save $50, save $500. It's like, oh, okay. Because there's the neuroscience of it. It's not just psychology. The parts of the brain activate differently. And I said to him, that's great, Dr. Gordon, but here's the deal. I can walk a lot farther than I can run. And he said, you're exactly right. That's why the saying, cry wolf, is true. If you constantly ignite threat, like saying, oh, you're going to miss out, the brain gets habituated to it. The piece of the brain called the basal ganglia starts to create wiring in it. And the brain says, yeah, that's not a threat. And so nothing activates. There's no reaction. Right. So that's where risk doesn't mean always bad. Curiosity is risk. Be like, what is that? So it's about creating enough of a balance of igniting people's curiosity and interest and sense of loss with showing them what they're going to get, and they can get it soon, or they're going to get it in the near future. So if I never gave students the final grade, they would not be doing anything for me all semester. But I started to just turn up the heat by the sense of loss, and I started to see students perform because they saw 5 points reduction was way better than 5 points increase. So it's just something to think about and that's where like the psychology of discounts, psychology of rewards. I think that's really where, for event professionals, business owners can really think about what are you giving. And as we know, you can have time, quality, or price. Like those 3 things still are in existence today. How are you rewarding, and how are you creating a sense of loss?
So you've been a planner. You said you're a recovered planner. You know that about neuroscience. If you put yourself in the shoes of an independent business owner or meeting planner today, with a situation all around, with running from fear, walking to reward, what would you tell yourself in these moments to basically cope with the situation and look to the future in the meantime?
First, you're good to no one unless you're good. Like center yourself, focus yourself, remind yourself of all the qualities and skills you have today that you had 3 months ago and that you're going to have in 3 months forward. Like, you got this. So part of it is just reminding yourself, while the world has changed inside you, Your knowledge hasn't changed. Like, you got this, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's techniques. Like, I learned through my neuroscience, the hardest thing our brain does is prioritize, because it has to do multiple things at once just to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so I changed how I work now. And so first thing I do is I make a list, and then I prioritize. What are the 5 things I have to get done today? Get that off your cognitive load. We can't multitask. And I said to one of my instructors, I said, honey, you have not met my people. And he's like, darling, your brain can't do it. You can do 4 things at low level. Because we are high efficient people, because we create work that it comes from us out to others, to really be careful and be gentle. Don't forget what you know. Work smarter, not harder. And while that's something that's really overused, I have learned from the brain that I can maximize my brain. And so I work cognitively more efficient. And when I am exhausted, I stop. Don't push through. Stopping can be a 5-minute break of just looking out the window, taking 3 deep breaths. Your brain is a battery. It can't run at 100%, a 10% battery like our devices do.
Yeah, right.
So you're being hired because of your intellectual property. It's what you know, the value you create. So in this moment, take care of yourself, because you know enough to help people be successful in their businesses. Because we are in the business of people, but those people are in the business of business.
Yeah.
And so help yourself, because if you don't, no one's going to help you, and they can't help you. So taking those moments, I wrote a white paper called Purposeful Meetings, and it's free, and I can send it to you. You can share it with your readers or listeners. And in there's a couple tips of just even what you can do for attendees, but here's the deal. It also works for you. So even just doing a Post-it note in your bathroom that says, smile, take 3 deep breaths as you wash your hands, you'll feel better. And here's why. The neuroscience of it is when you run warm water over your hands as you wash, the parasympathetic system in your body activates. That's the part of the body, that's the system that helps you relax.
Wow.
And so you decrease cortisol and you increase dopamine by smiling, and you see it yourself. Even if it's a fake one, you fake it till you make it. We know it. We do that all the time in life. But help yourself change your neurochemicals to just come back. So when you come back, you're ready in your seat and you have that moment. So breaks are micro moments as well as macro moments. Going for a walk. We create solutions and ideas, not when we're concentrating really hard. This part, the prefrontal cortex, is working really hard. The rest of the part of the brain isn't working quite so hard when we're making decisions and cognitively thinking really hard. Yeah. And when we go for a walk, this turns off and the rest of the brain activates. And it's like eating a little piece of Velcro, and it goes in and it collects all different bits of pieces together. And then when you go for a walk in your mind and you're just thinking, or in the shower, that's why we have ideas in the shower or sleeping, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, that's it.
I actually have a lot of friends that are doing walking meetings, meet and walk. Not in the shower, but they
for sure.
Right.
No, as long as that's not a video call, we're good.
But one friend who's an accountability partner of mine, he's doing that with his team. They want to talk about something. Okay, let's go for a walk. Yeah. Now, you said several things that I just want to react to. Fake it until you make it. Yes, I understand that for the smile thing and the part of it. I'm more into the philosophy of fight it until you make it and being authentic. And I know it's important for you. We're going to talk about authenticity in a minute. But you say something also that I think is essential for independent business owners is the value creation. Mm-hmm. How do you create value? How do you position yourself as a strategic partner? That's what I talked about in my book and the courses. It's really, how do you provide much more than logistics and before logistics, which is extremely important? Yeah. What type of value are you providing to your client? But the main thing that really struck me in everything you just said right now, there is no such thing as multitasking, because we say we are the queens and kings of multitasking, especially independent business owners and independent planners. They have to think about 15 different things at the same time. So it's not a good thing to do?
No, it's not. And you can do very low level. The recent science says four things, very low level. Low level, like brush your teeth and look at something. Have you ever been in a conversation and you're walking and it gets so intense for you, you actually stop and turn? And what's happening in the brain, as your emotions get activated, and usually with emotions, cortisol raises. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It's not always bad, but what it does, it says to the brain, the amygdala part, hey, pay attention. You're like, something's going on. It's really creating a tension for you. And your motor cortex said, stop. I can't keep you safe if I'm going to be focusing on this, because our attention and focus go down and our senses start to turn off. So we can't multitask high level things, and we can't. And I challenged my professors, and they gave me great information that says, no, we can't. There's a great book I recommend. One of my professors wrote it, who's amazing, out of Columbia, Dr. Josh Davis. He wrote a really great small book called 2 Awesome Hours, and how to just create high quality work in 2 awesome hours. It's about decision making. It's about this multitasking. There's a number of great tips inside 2 Awesome Hours, Dr. Josh Davis. And in there, so I think that might be a really nice tool for some of the people, because it's not about the volume of work. It's about the quality of work. And in today's world right now, we have to solve, not sell, because people, and so it's about meeting. And for my students, where I'm at right now is I need to meet students where they're at, not where I want them to go, not where I want them to be. Meet them where they're at, and just walk with them, talk with them, listen to them. And then slowly I release more information and release it back and make it more relevant. And so what I wanted to accomplish this semester isn't going to be. It's just not going to be. But I have core competencies I have to get done from a state statute. But it's going to be looking very differently in that way. So it's about creating new ideas is about changing perspective, which means it's not just going to come out of your brain. Talk it through somebody else. Listen to other podcasts, listen to other ideas, because that's where innovation happens, is when new ideas come in.
I remember that book, I think it was called The Medici Effect. We're talking about different disciplines coming together to create new ways of working, like this architect who was looking at the way, I think it's ants are building their own domain, to apply that to air conditioning in a building without actually having any type of external machine or something like that.
Yep.
Now, and I still want to stay on the multitasking because I switch off every single alert that I have on my computer, whether it's Outlook or whatever it is, because I know that when my mind is distracted, it takes a long time. I don't know how many minutes to go back to the concentration itself. But today you have this multi-screen aspect. You're in the conference room, the people that are looking at their phones. So basically they're not paying attention, or they can't.
Correct. And it's like a reverse trickle charge for your brain. So if you're constantly having these notifications, IMs, pinging, it's like just your brain is getting a tiny little like trickle, exhausting, pulling out. And so like I really only check my email 3 times a day. Wow. I turn it off.
Yeah.
I don't do IM. It's like I'm in the business, as in academia, of what comes out of this noggin around how do I help people absorb information to do something with it. That comes from me. That's what we do in the event professionals. Like, yes, there's tools, but what we create are these experiences that drive business.
Right.
And it's really intense, and there's not a one-way solution. We are constantly weighing different things like, okay, we could do that, but we got to tweak this. This would be good. We're constantly making these micro decisions and adjustments. And so don't let technology drain your brain by having these little pop-ups, by having these instant images and things flashing before you and pulling your attention away, because it does take a while for your brain to come back to that point of what were you thinking. I
Right.
haven't seen anything like it takes 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I think it depends on the person, on the need and necessity. As we learned in our industry, there's fires and then there's fires. And if there's no blood, if there's no life crisis,
Right.
it's like, are you putting yourself in a place to be needed?
Yeah. And
Got to
also,
gut check that,
yeah.
and then just be, okay, what's the best thing I can do? Give myself, and I had to learn. I did it for 15 minutes at a time. Okay, I just focused on that and then I'm like, I got to check my email. And then, a month later, I did it by 20 minutes because I had to rewire my brain. Your
Got it.
brain is wired differently than mine. And
You know
that's
what?
where we're different.
I think it's essential what you just say now about rewiring the brain, because it's not only you checking the emails 3 times a day, as you said. I think two things come into play. The first one is, what are your customer expecting, and how you, I don't want to use the word training customer, because I don't think you really train customer, but get them into the, manage their expectation, I would say, in terms of how fast you're going to answer. But the second thing to me, and the last month, it has become a joke. Did you get my email? I said, because I sent you a message on WhatsApp that was referring to a thread on Slack, because I send you a messenger. And I mean, there's all those information channels. It's crazy. How do you keep track of that? And all those software management program. So what is your advice for independent business owners in our industry to keep track of the essential information, making sure that they're able to follow up and obviously serve their customer, but also serve their team or the people they work with? What is your advice for that, to organize yourself?
I would say information drives certainty. And so ask yourself first, are you responding because you feel you need to respond, or do people need to know that you just got it, confirming it? And so is there a way that you could, through all of our technologies, just have a response saying, thank you, I got your message, I'm going to respond in 2 hours? Like, set the expectation, communicate. That information will calm the fires of uncertainty. Information drives certainty. It drives predictability. So having something, we have all these auto responses. Use that. Allow yourself the freedom to think, to do the quality work you have to do, whether it's your business, whether it's for your clients or your team, and just respond to them. And then start setting the expectations. These days, we're having our team meetings on Wednesdays. I will have something to you by Tuesday. So it's not just you're having a million things coming to you of all these different things. Now, life's not perfect, but at least you can sort of create some boundaries to give yourself some breathing room to have some high quality thinking. So you're not doing it at the end of the night when everyone else goes to bed and you're creating these strategic business plans. Our brain has a circadian rhythm, just like we do for our sleep.
Okay.
And so there's a book by Dan Pink called When.
Yeah.
Fantastic. He talks about it. And so it's really about like your best time, the highest quality, sacred time for me, because I am in the business of intellectual property. I'm a thought leader in my industry. I'm a thought leader within my school, is mornings. I don't jump on email and buzz through to see what's on fire. I take that moment and I do some meditation. I get myself centered. I get myself ready. I dip in before I go into my thoughts and see any fires, but I'm not responding. I don't delete. I don't do anything. And then I give myself some time to do my high quality work. That's why you and I, this is midday. This is midday that I asked for this interview. It's like, no, I can't do this because this is my sacred time. And if I'm willing to give it up for myself, I'm not going to be any better to somebody else.
You mean we're not doing essential work here?
We're doing good work, my friend, but you're not touching my sacred time when I need to do the big thinking. People, have this conversation.
Absolutely. No, I totally with you. That's the main thing is stopping, not actually opening the phone as soon as you wake up. And as much as I say it, and what I try to do is not always the case, but to your point. So linking what you said about the book from Dan Ping Wen and the neuroscience and the work, let's say that you have a schedule, or did you have to drive the kids to school at a certain time? Does that mean that you wake up early to still do this routine in the morning before doing anything else?
It depends on who you are.
Uh-huh.
As in Dan Pink's, you're either a morning person or an evening person. I mean, so some people stay up much later and do some great work then.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not black and white and one size fits all. So there are some different things. And he actually has a tool in there that you can help track of when do you do your best work. The one thing that he found, that when the time that our brain dips down and our mood dips down, 2:55 p.m.
What?
Almost everyone. Yeah.
Wow. And how long does it last? Because I have a meeting at 3 p.m.
Well, then at 2:55, you stop, you go get a glass of water, you reset, you look outside, and you go at 3 o'clock. I mean, your brain is really dynamic. Like, this thing is an amazing thing, but you have to help it. You have to take care of it like you do the rest of your body.
Mm-hmm.
So your routines, if you have all of these other dependencies, whether they're humans of littles, or whether they're elders, or whether they're business partners, like you have all of these things that fit into your day. Just think about, when's your big decision points? When do you be laser focused and on? How can you help yourself right before that moment, before that 3 o'clock call? Mm-hmm. What are you doing to help yourself perform the best?
Amazing. Well, one thing I realized for me is that, excuse me, when it comes to performing the best, it means also that I have to be myself, that I'm not playing games, which I suppose should be tiring for people that have different personalities. But as you know me, what you see is what you get, regardless of the environment. Yeah. And I know authenticity is very important for you. Yeah. And I always joke with people, want you to be authentic until you start being authentic, then they hate you.
Yeah, right.
So in a world where we live in, which hopefully is going to change a little bit, that would be a silver lining of what we're facing today. But in a world where there's a lot of political correctness, that you should abide by rules, or you shouldn't be saying that because somebody might be offended, blah, blah, blah. How do you push for authenticity? And for you, how do you how you behave authentically when the entire faculty is looking at you, when people in the industry are looking at you? What is your advice here?
Yeah, two things. One is, so I did a career change when I came into academia years ago, right? I was an event planner for years. I owned my own agency for a number of years. And it was a career change. And I was a square peg in a round hole for years. And I was going to quit. I was like, it was the first associate degree.
A square peg in a round hole. Yeah. You have to translate that for me.
And it was really, it was the first associate degrees in the United States. There was no roadmap. There was no one I could follow.
Right.
And also in academia, degrees are rewarded. So most of my colleagues have PhDs, even in a 2-year college. And I was like, I create solutions as an event planner. Like, I'm too busy doing the work to go off and learn these other things. And so it was like, no. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm going to quit. I don't know. And my boss kept on saying, Janet, we hired you for who you are. Go do that. Because I saw the list of people that went for this job. And I was like, holy cow, there were other people in this industry. And I was like, all right. So I made a little saying for myself, because I thought, it's not about being the smartest. It's not about really being the all-knowing. I don't have to have every answer that comes up. Mm-hmm. And I thought, what's going to help the most is to be authentic and real. Because at the end of the day, business moves at the speed of trust.
Oh, I like that.
And so for me, the business is helping students learn event management. It's helping people learn. So I created a saying that said, to be authentic is the most courageous thing I can do. Mm-hmm. And so I went in every day. As a planner, I come in prepared. I have high expectations of myself. I have high expectations of my students. And so I knew that they could ask me questions or things aren't going to go as planned, and it's going to be out in the open, just like an event. It's consumed at the time it's created.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have thick skins because we do audibles every second. And so same thing in my classroom. And it's like, okay, well, that didn't go. So let's do this. And let it be seen and real. And I think that's where, as technology allows us to have more interactions and allows us to communicate in new ways, what becomes even stronger are the moments that are real. And I bet if you go back to these podcasts you're looking at, are you looking at the faces or are you looking at the backgrounds of what people's homes are? Where they work? What do they look like? Because we want to see. Like never before have people been so excited to see their coworkers' homes, right? Because it's real. And so don't put a fake backdrop on your behind you. Put what's real. We crave things that are real. And here's something that I learned about the brain. The brain doesn't know what's real or fake. It's our senses that tell us that. So that's advantage to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in our world of event professionals, we really can help people transform into new places by using gobos, technology, second screen, all of these things. Because the brain doesn't really care if it's real or fake. It's our senses that help create more connections to the emotional center, which is where meaning is created.
Right.
So it's important, but we use different things in our world of events to transform people from walking into a city street, into a building, and all of a sudden they're in a winter wonderland because of all these visuals. And so the brain is like, wow, this is amazing. And you ignite the limbics in the emotional brain and you create meaning in there. So we know this. We got this. And so it's about really keeping true to who you are, because business moves at the speed of trust. If my students didn't trust me to be able to come in with information and help them, they don't care if it's the latest, greatest, what's happening in the world right now, because it's all about us. We are always first, foremost centered on ourselves to keep it safe. And trust is so important. And where trust really begins is at relationships. You can't have trust without a relationship, but you can have a relationship without trust.
Say that again, please.
You can have a relationship without trust.
Right.
But you can't have trust without a relationship.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's why we use people who are saying, that's why reviews work. We don't even care if we don't know the person, but we're like, all right. So that's why it's so important to really sort of think about, how are we building trust? What are we doing? And at the end of the day, we're humans. We're not consumers. We're not business owners. We're not buyers. We're not suppliers. We're not attendees. We're humans. So meeting people where they're at with their human needs and helping them deliver the best results for their businesses. Because we're not in the business of making people feel good. We're in the business of making them successful.
Awesome. I love that. I'd like to end our conversation today with linking what you said about trust, building trust, and the need to meet face-to-face. In other words, can you build total trust without meeting face-to-face? And now that obviously everything is online, and we're probably looking at the mix of online and face-to-face in the future, but how would you build trust, and how would you use face-to-face events to build that trust that increase the relationship with people and the business?
Yeah, I think you can do trust without having to see people. It's called consistency and quality. Right?
Yes.
I mean, if you always deliver the exact thing that they wanted at the exact time, they're going to trust you. But that's widgets. Like, that's a product. And so 93% of communication is nonverbal. So having you see my face tells you more than what comes out of my pie hole. Right?
True.
And we have human needs. We really Our brain is the only social organ in our body. We are driven. It's a social need. It's a need that is as Maslow created all the hierarchy, social need is inside there. Mm-hmm. So as we're finding, we could not sit in isolation long. And where meaning and insights and new ideas happen is when people get together and talk. Mm-hmm. Yes, it can be virtually, but it also, where it really accelerates is when you meet face to face.
Yep.
And that's why we will always be in business. We will always create value because the human need and condition of needing others. We will take someone else's brain as a proxy for ours. It's called a mirror neuron. So if I see somebody do something that maybe supports my values, I'm interested in, I will adopt it. And so we can accelerate people. And that's why trade shows are so important. We still will always have trade shows because it's a platform that people can really involve their senses and take that 93% nonverbal communication and make decisions. That's why brands and branding is so important to us. So I think this moment is showing us, again, the human condition of getting together is so important. And how do we do that? And so if you're seeing more of your market go on virtual, understanding how to be more a facilitator of conversation virtually than creating logistics is going to be a key skill. So it's really about how do you help people connect in a meaningful way? How do you draft an agenda for an all-day meeting virtually? Well, you wouldn't have someone sit in the same chair for 8 hours in the same meeting room.
Yep.
Think about what it is that you're doing, having these breaks, these macro and micro moments of breaks, allowing people, the brain, the concentration is like your fist. You can't hold it for hours. You got to shake it out. So we have to use our skills in new ways, but you have the skills to create meaningful moments that drive business forward. I know it because our human condition and our humans haven't changed.
Love it. Thank you so much, Janet. And I totally agree with you about the craving of people meeting. Yes, there's an online part, but the face-to-face never going to go away. And I think that if there's one silver lining of the entire crisis that the entire world is living, is the fact that people realize how meeting face-to-face is so important, and the craving that people, that human beings have to come together for the betterment of everything, whether it's humankind, business, but the fact of coming together will never be replaced.
No, it won't. It won't.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you face to face soon.
Oh, me too. Take care, darling.
Great insight from Janet during our conversation today. I wrote down several points that I just want to reshare with you. She said something very interesting about the fact that we run from risk and we walk towards reward. Think about what it means for you and for your business. Also about multitasking. No, we cannot multitask. We can do 4 things low level at the same time, but that's really the maximum, and the importance of being authentic in everything you do. And last but not least, that is 2:55 p.m. according to Dan Ping in his book, When, 2:55 p.m. is really the time in the day where we should all stop for 5 minutes and take a break, as apparently that's the moment where we are the least productive. Anyway, thanks again for listening. Thanks, Janet, for sharing your knowledge with us. And if you have any question or if you want to suggest any guests for the future, reach out to me via email, via the Facebook page of Even Business Formula, or via LinkedIn. Thank you.